Oh, I guess you're live now.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I guess we should start. Hi, guys. Welcome to Learn with the Nerve. Due to the ongoing pandemic, our beloved annual Tech Fest Innerve 2020 is happening online this year. This is the third installment of our series Learn with the Nerve. Today, we have a really special guest with us, one who I personally am really excited about. She's our alumni from back when IGDTUW was IGIT, from the batch of 2016. Please welcome Bhavya Mishra. After graduation, she went for an MS at the very prestigious Clemson University, and then she finally landed as a mechanical design engineer at almost every mechanical student's dream company, Tesla. This session will be about her journey from a focha in IGIT to an engineer at Tesla. I'm your host for today, Kriti Sinha. The first half of today's session will consist of a talk by our esteemed guest, followed by an interactive Q&A session with her. So feel free to share your questions with us. Over to you, Bhavya, whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you. I hope you guys can all hear me all right. I'm really excited and super humbled to be talking to you today. And not to mention, I'm extremely nervous because essentially I'm thinking I'm speaking to myself from 5 years ago or like 6 years ago, as I found out today. And I was pretty judgmental at that time, to say the least. So I'm a little nervous. I'll start with giving you guys a little bit of a background about myself. I was born and brought up in Delhi. I completed my high school education from Modern School, Barakhamba Road. Shruti, you can share the slide deck now.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. And then I attended IGIT for my bachelor's degree in mechanical and automation engineering. By attended IGIT, I mean it involved like getting a lot of photocopies done, eating matar kulcha from the stall that's right outside the campus, and eating from Tiwari Bhaiya's little nook canteen that we had. And also, we used to eat at Ambedkar's Sri Shakti canteen. I don't know if that's still a thing. But basically, after all of this eating and a little bit of studying, I went on to get my master's from Clemson University, International Center for Automotive Research. And now, as you all know, and the reason why you guys are all here is that now I work at Tesla. So before I get into the things that I really want to talk to you guys about, I want to address a few things. Basically, the slides that I'm showing are only there so that you don't have to see my charming face the whole time. You can feel free to ignore them. There's no point in fixating on the slides. Um, Also, at no point would this conversation be about the things you need to do to get to XYZ, because frankly, I don't think that kind of a formula works, or at least it hasn't worked in my case. So I guess also I haven't tried to make it work. So I can't tell you something that I haven't experienced or I don't believe in. The other thing is that this talk is definitely not about how to get into Tesla. It's more about not putting a particular company or a person on this sort of a pedestal and not measuring your success based on where you get a job. I think success is pretty personal. It doesn't always have to mean money or a company or recognition. It's basically whatever floats your boat and whatever makes you happy. So, yes, I'll just talk about what I've been doing in these extra 5 years that I've lived more than you guys. And I hope that there's something in there that helps you in your journey at some point. So, welcome to my cliched but less polished and by no means as insightful a TED talk. Having said that, you will have time at the end to ask me any pointed questions about Tesla if you must. Now, with all of these disclaimers out of the way, let's begin. So, everyone's journey is different, and mine begins with breaking down in front of my teachers and my father during this parent teacher meeting that my coaching class used to have. And this was just in 11th grade. And it was completely unprovoked, so it was very shocking in hindsight. Nobody said anything. My father and I went and like my name was called. My father and I went and we sat down on this bench in front of my three teachers, And they were about to tell me how I'm doing or how my performance has been. And I just immediately started crying, just these rivers of tears flowing down my face. We all know of someone who has done well in JEE, right? And we either try to study for the number of hours that they studied for, or follow their timetable, or just we try to be like them. And I was no different, except that kind of pressure was something that I couldn't handle at that time. Um, this is what led to this complete public humiliating meltdown in 11th grade. In hindsight, I realized trying to be like someone or taking the route they took to reach the destination they have reached is never a good idea for anyone at any point. And when someone says failure, this is the time that my mind goes back to, not because I couldn't crack an exam, but because I was trying to impress others by being someone else. Being authentic is what I took away from this experience. Fast forward to now, I'm decently happy with where I am right now, while recognizing that there are still a lot of things that I wish to achieve, and there is a whole lot of room for growth for me professionally as well as personally. So, during my time as an engineer at Tesla, I have realized that engineering is the easy part in our careers. And I know this might come as a surprise to you guys. Oh, but we're engineers. How is that easy? I'll tell you why. It's the other skills around engineering that are tougher to master, I think. I say this because we've all had some training in engineering for at least 4 years. And I know not all of us were listening to our teachers at all points, but we still have had this training. And as much as it's really important to get everything from the classrooms that you get, some of these other things that I'll talk to you about are things that you can't pick up or learn in classrooms. Or maybe you can pick them up, but it's really important to master these things also. And these things are equally important. They're as important as the theoretical knowledge that you're gaining in your classrooms. So during my first 2 years at IGIT, oh, and also forgive me, I'll keep calling IGDTUW IGIT because that's what I'm used to. I was a part of the street play society in my first 2 years at IGIT, and back then it was called Aveksha. I know it's called Rehnama now, and I know I'm very old. But these 2 years with Aveksha were very important in my college experience. I got to learn a lot of things that I told you that we can't entirely pick up in classrooms. Some of these things, like self confidence, resilience, hard work, and the fact that a lot of teachers get mad at you for doing voice exercises in the morning, are things that I learned during my time at Aveksha. But jokes aside, a lot of these things have helped me, and they're in fact still helping me in my journey. The next 2 years in IGIT, I spent as a part of the Supra team. This project helped me understand things like the way you present your work is as important as the work itself. I got a lot of hands on experience during this project, and I use that till date here at Tesla. Supra really got me interested in automotive engineering. I didn't know much about it, and that was for sure. And it just made me think that, oh, this is so interesting. I really want to find out more about it. So, in a way, it made my decision to pursue masters in automotive engineering very easy. This, this very organically led to me applying on for online programs and like for applying online to masters programs. And basically I was looking at programs that had a very heavy automotive component. I applied to all of these programs that I thought would be a good fit for me. I got rejections from a few of them. I got acceptance letters from a few of them. And eventually I ended up in Clemson University, International Center for Automotive Research. I picked up a lot of skill during my masters, be it technical or otherwise. So, for some time, I worked as a part time front desk employee, which is a glorified title for a receptionist. And even if I was just a receptionist, for some reason, I wanted to put my best foot forward and like put effort into it. So I would greet everyone with a smile and like say good morning and things like that to the people that entered the building. And because of that, a lot of people would walk over to my desk to come and talk to me. Mind you, I'm a very reserved person, and these things don't come very naturally to me, especially like you're a person in a new country and you don't entirely know the culture of this country, right? But this part time job helped me polish my greetings and practice my exchanges with strangers in a new country to a point where I could start getting comfortable, or at least pretend that I was comfortable in a first conversation with a stranger. So, what I'm getting at is if you put effort into something, it will pay off eventually. It doesn't always have to mean that it will make you a good engineer, because that's most likely not going to happen. Not every skill is going to make you a good engineer. It might make you a good salesperson though, and you might need those salesperson skills at some point to sell yourself as an excellent engineer. During my masters, I also participated in what's called the Deep Orange project. It's very similar to Supra in the sense that you have to make a prototype car, but it's not a competition. It's more of a collaboration between an industry partner or an OEM and Clemson University. So they give us a problem statement, and we have to build a car that solves that current existing industry problem. It was very exciting. It was such a good learning experience. From there, I picked up the skill of critical thinking, approaching a problem based on first principles, understanding your constraints, understanding the limitations in terms of available resources, and also understanding the data leading up to your solution. I realized how easy it was to do a bad job and how satisfying it was to do it right. I also had a few interest changes along the way. I was interested in interiors and ergonomics to begin with. And this was mainly because you interface with people through your designs in such a role. And I really wanted to impact other people's lives in a positive way. Then I got super interested in materials engineering and then in structures. So, my thought process of impacting people's lives was also in alignment with Tesla's mission. And that's basically how I got interested in Tesla as a company that I wanted to work for. All of this happened very organically for me. It was never about having a goal to work at Tesla from the beginning or even till a later point in my master's. Like Shruti mentioned, Tesla is a sort of a dream company, right? So it was a very big deal for me also. But I never went into my master's or even like my second year in master's thinking that, oh, I have to land a job in Tesla. That was never the case. So I feel like finding your interests is probably as important. And it is also important to understand and accept that it's okay for your interests to change. It's basically always going to be up to you to be satisfied with where you are or move forward and challenge yourself more. And to be honest, either of those two things are good as long as it's your decision for the reasons that you think are important. So, as my master's was nearing its end, all of my peers and I had this dreaded task of finding a job. As an immigrant, there is a ticking clock that you're chasing because you're on a visa. So, due to my exposure in Deep Orange, I already had managed to get a job with a contracting company for Ford. So, what happens is a lot of these OEMs interview you, they decide whether you're good for the role, they decide if you're good for the team, but they aren't the ones that hire you. A third party would hire you because it's a bit of a hassle to hire immigrants for a lot of OEMs. Although this wasn't the case with Tesla. And I was also interviewing with Tesla at that time. So, because I had this backup job when I went for my on site interview with Tesla, I realized I was way calmer than I would have been otherwise. Like, had I not had a job or like a backup option, I wouldn't have been this calm. I was very nervous. Like it wasn't like I just barged in there and blew them away. It wasn't like that. I was nervous, but I wasn't thinking of it as a do or die situation. Because of this, I was joking around in my interview, and having worked in interiors, I was just letting my manager know how much I dislike tall people because it's so hard to package them inside a car, and just they're a corner case that I really don't like to work with. And I was saying all this not because I have a personal dislike towards tall people, no, but it was because my hiring manager was a 99th percentile American male, so he was really tall. So basically, I was cracking jokes about him, and it was just a very fun interview. It was a very good time. So, because this was the case, and mind you, my actual engineering written test didn't go that well. It was above average, but it wasn't something exceptional. So, my hiring manager later called me and he asked me to take the engineering test on my own time so that I could like he could build a stronger case, and then when he put my case in front of executives, they wouldn't have a reason to reject me. Learning from this, I would say give things the right amount of importance, but don't pressure yourself too much and make something a be all end all situation. After this interview, which was very interesting and very fun, I started off my career as a mechanical design engineer with Tesla's packaging team. This is when I realized the gap between being a student and a working woman was something very real. You have to start looking at things from a like less like a research project and more like a project that you need to deliver in a certain amount of time with limited resources. And I know even research projects are like that, but now there are timelines and other people's designs attached to your timelines, so you really need to think of it that way. You have to exercise what's called the 80/20 principle. So if a perfect design in an ideal world is 100%, you can get your design to be 80% of that. And to get to that extra 20% and make it 100, you have to put in exorbitant amounts of time and money into that design. So sometimes this is not possible. And as a design engineer, you have to understand where you need to get your design to that 80% and call it a day, and where you can sort of go all out and make that 100% happen. My time with my first team made me understand what was expected of me at Tesla and how this company works in terms of its culture and hierarchy. Going back to my previous point about challenging yourself and entertaining your changing interests, I decided to switch teams and explore my interest for structures further. And now I work with the closures and white team, where we design the structural closure components for all of our vehicle models, and I work on the door structures designs. So far I've been talking to you about my journey, and I hope I've driven home the point that all of us will have to carve our own paths. But now I'd like to address something that's going to be common in all of our journeys to some extent. In my current broader team of exteriors and closures, there are a total of 52 people, and out of these 52, four of us are women. And Tesla is a very conscious company when it comes to diversity. Despite that, only four of us are women. Looking at this ratio, you realize that you are in a protected environment in IGIT. We all know what the gender ratio is like in other mechanical engineering co ed colleges, right? Mildly put, it's pretty bad. Outside the gates of IGIT, other than finding the Matar Kulcha stall, you will find a pretty skewed gender ratio amongst mechanical engineers. And I'm sure it's like this. I don't know to what extent, but maybe it's like this in other engineering fields as well. You guys will feel out of place, and you guys will feel like you're being constantly scrutinized. It might just be a feeling, it might be true. but you will feel like that because of your gender and the ratio. And there's no easy way around it. I remember when we were wrapping up my master's project, my team captain felt the need to point in my direction specifically and say that some of us that had no experience with tools got to learn how to use these tools during the course of this project. This was his way of making sure that the project was deemed successful by everyone that was listening to him at that point. And by what he said, he was right because it taught someone an important skill that they probably need to know as a mechanical engineer during the course of this project. The only issue being, I did know how to use a lot of these tools. Not all, but many, like most of my teammates. And I was comfortable with them before I came for my master's. The reason to single me out could have been a genuine lack of knowledge about my background, right? But at that moment, it really did feel like it was the easier thing to do because of my gender. Because all of us had gotten to know each other and each other's backgrounds pretty well in the 2 years that we'd worked together on that project. So, either way, there was a problem. You either didn't want to hear my story or you chose to ignore my story and imagine that was something more comfortable and easy for you to imagine, and something that would fit well in my story because of my gender in your mind. Luckily, in that moment, I was able to see a problem and I had the self confidence to sort of step up to him and say, no, actually, I had done all of this before. I had this confidence because I had spent some time learning all of these skills in IGIT alongside my peers who had helped me gain this confidence and master these skills. I had the confidence because I had seen strong female role models around me, my mother and my sister, speak up to defend themselves or their ideology, no matter what the society thought or how their voice impacted or even shattered our society's comfortable state of oblivion. This is a small incident. I understand that. But what I want you to know is these small incidents are knit together to make your life's narrative. In these small moments, you decide if you want to project strength or you want to preserve everyone else's harmony. What you guys need to know is that you have the time right now to support each other, to grow, and to help others grow. So you can understand and react to these gender biases that you'll face later with strength. Every step of the way, I've heard that I got to where I am because I'm a girl. Whether it was because when I got my scholarship, or whether it was when I got my outstanding master students award in Clemson University. And I remember during my time in IGIT, I had heard a lot of similar things about the Baha team because I remember the Baha team had gone to a competition and came back with some prize after the event. And there were a lot of rumors going around, oh, they just got it because they're girls or something along those lines. And I know you guys hear it too in competitions or in events. But right now, what I need you to know is that you have a place that's your safe haven. You have your campus, you have your friends. There are certain things that you'd be able to do more freely now than later. Basically, in conclusion, I want you guys to know that wherever you decide to go, just be curious. Approach things from a first principles perspective. Yeah, for sure. You can learn softwares like SolidWorks and CATIA as you go during the course of your job. But having some unique experiences would give you unique perspectives. And that is what will set you apart. So just live life on your own terms, explore as much as you can right now. Just have fun and do what makes you happy. Also, don't forget to give yourself a break once in a while. It's not your job to manage society's expectations. That's all from my side, you guys. I will take any questions and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
That was so inspiring, Bhavya. It was really cool. So now we'll be taking up some of the viewers' questions. So give us some of your questions, guys, and Bhavya would answer them. So Urvi asks, what made your application unique enough to get accepted into Clemson University?
So I would say just I don't remember if this still happens to you guys, but there are certain struggles that you face as a student of IGIT. I remember I had this conversation with our head of department at that time. They told us that they can't open the labs after 5 o'clock, and we can only have the labs to work in from 9 to 5. But we were also expected to attend classes from 9 to 5, and just it was just such a I don't know, it was such a painful experience, but also it gave me a sort of an edge, I would say. Just being from a different background gives you an edge, and you guys already have that sort of an edge. You will be combating a lot more difficulties on your way, probably more than your male counterparts who are learning mechanical engineering right now. So I don't know what Clemson University thought that was like unique about me or why they accepted me. But I can tell you guys that just if you follow your interests and if you give enough importance to your passions, you will come out unique at the other end anyway, because no two people's passions and interests can exactly align anyway, right?
Right. That was okay. So the next question is from Shreya. She asks, did you get some sort of scholarship? How did you afford studying abroad?
So I told you guys about my part-time job, right? That was one of the things that I started doing immediately once I went there. I didn't go there with a scholarship, but I think after my first semester or probably first 2 semesters, I got the SAGE scholarship for interiors. So yeah, that was a scholarship I got. That was basically through Deep Orange, that project that I told you guys about. And every year, SAGE invests in the person who's working on interiors or has an interest or passion towards interiors. So that's how I ended up getting that SAGE scholarship.
Okay. Gunjan asks, at what point you decided to do masters from abroad?
Like, I know we were working in Supra, and at that point, our car wasn't working. And I don't know, the life of me, I couldn't figure out why. And like, even my team was a little, perplexed as to why this is not working. And that's when I realized, like, we don't really know all that much about this. So maybe it's a good decision to sort of learn more. And that's what made me understand that, yeah, I needed to do a master's, learn more about this.
Okay. Disha asks, what are your responsibilities as a design engineer there?
We basically have to, we are given what are called A surfaces. A surfaces are any surfaces that a customer would see. Taking those surfaces, we have to engineer the car. So I work on doors, like I told you guys, and you are given the outside surface of the door. So by stylists and designers, you're given what the door should look like, but then you go on and engineer it. So you would engineer how the door would open, how it would close, what the efforts would be like, if that door is safe in crash, everything that attaches to the door, you design the attachment for that. um, you test all the cases. Okay, what happens if a child um, grabs the handle of the door and then pulls on it, like what would happen? So these are the kind of things that you sort of have to work around and design around, and that's what I do.
Oh, great. So Bedurja Mitra asks, as a mechanical design engineer, what is the minimum level of coding knowledge requirement according to you?
I think there's not. So I have never looked at things from a perspective of, oh, this is what I must know to get to this point. It's always been like, oh, what does this job require of me? Do I like this or do I not like, do I enjoy this or do I not enjoy doing this? I know a bit of MATLAB, but I think that's about as far my coding knowledge goes. So I wouldn't say it's something that's completely important, but if that's something that interests you, then by all means go all out, learn Python, C, whatever you need to learn. And I'm sure that'll open a lot of job opportunities for you outside of mechanical engineering as well.
Okay. Shreya asks, what's the placement process in outside India universities? Is it similar to what we have in IGDTU?
No, it's not. It's so you would have a career fair. It's basically an event that used to happen on the main campus. And by main campus, I mean the automotive engineering used to be on a satellite campus, so away from the main campus. The main campus was an hour away from where we used to study. So there was an event that used to happen on the main campus every year. And it was the career fair where all of the companies that were recruiting would come and they would ask for resumes and basically interact with students directly one on one and understand if they wanted to recruit someone. Basically, I have been to two career fairs, but there was nothing there. It's a very arduous, it's a very tedious process. You just go around. There are hundreds of company. You have to talk to everyone, and there's only so much talking you can do in one day. So I think a more effective way that at least I found to be effective was just applying for jobs online. I used to go on the career pages of whatever companies I was interested in, search the keywords mechanical design engineer or just mechanical engineer, and whatever came up. Sorry. And whatever interested me, I used to apply to those jobs.
Okay. Khushi asks, what are the benefits you get in Tesla?
Oh, like, I don't know, like employee benefits, or I guess the benefit of being in Tesla is uh, just you get to learn a lot about cutting edge technology, and you get to learn a lot about new things that are happening around you. But I'm not sure if those are the benefits that you're asking about. And feel free to clarify and then re-ask me this question.
Okay. Unnati asks, how was your master's experience? What all problems you faced? What helped you overcome them?
My master's experience was pretty chill. I would say, like, it was, you had to do a lot of hard work, and you would pull all-nighters and study and give exams like back to back the next day. It was a very exciting time, and like looking back at that, I already have a smile on my face, I guess, because it was just like a accelerated college experience. It was a lot of fun. The problems that I faced they were I'm not sure these will apply to all of you as well, but some of them were financial. I wouldn't say I was very overwhelmed because of my financial problems, but I really wanted to sort of help my parents out because they were the ones paying for my education at that point. And then there was also deciding what courses you're interested in, and there was just, I feel like honestly there was so much to learn, so much that masters was offering you. I would look at courses and I would just be like, oh, I want to study this, but you could only take up to 5 or 4 courses, I think. And I just picked whatever the first 4, like the most important 4 courses for me were.
Astha asks, how is a day in a life of a mechanical engineer?
Is really normal. I mean, it's almost too normal. I got up, I got my coffee, and now I'm talking to you guys. So I guess this is not the normal part. But other than that, it's you just go to work. Not right now. I hope all of you are also not going anywhere right now and keeping safe. But you usually go to work. You go to if you have a design that you're working on, you work on that on CRITIA. You drink your coffee. Very important. All mechanical engineers drink your coffee in the morning. Don't doze off in the middle of your day. And just basically, you design your part. If you have to get it tested, you go get it. Like you get it prototyped, you get it tested. You do a lot of back and forth with suppliers on why you can't get me this part in the timeline that I need you to, and why should I have a hole in this part at this location? I really don't want it. And it's just a lot of DFM, so feedback from the manufacturers on whether your design is actually manufacturable or not. And yeah, that's what you do. You also do a lot of engineering drawing. Not a lot of it, but you do some of it.
Okay, so Unnati asks, Do you think Tesla is the Google for mechanical engineers?
I would say you guys don't think of either Google or Tesla as something that's so big or something that's a dream company. Just think of it as a company that is there because of its mechanical engineers. So don't think of the company being the boss. You are the boss. And yeah, I guess Tesla would be the Google of mechanical engineers. I don't know. That's on you guys to decide.
Samriddhi asks, how do they weigh your talent in universities there, running before marks or appreciating skills more?
Um, I don't know how they weigh it because I was more after honing my skills more than getting marks, I would say. But also, I wouldn't say that I didn't get um, like the right amount of marks or like I got low marks or something like that. That's not what happened for me. And I actually one time I was applying for this BMW internship that was there in Germany, and I got selected for the first round of it, but I decided to not go for it and do Deep Orange instead. So I asked one of my professors um, who was basically helping BMW recruit. And I asked them, what is it that you think BMW is looking for? Is it a 4.0 GPA or what do you think it is? And he said they're actually just looking at the overall person, the kind of person you are, and how well rounded you are. So I think it's very important to give importance to holistic development rather than just chasing the academic side of things.
Okay. Natasha asks, what are the various scholarships for mechanical engineers? What is the key to them?
um, I know I got the Sage Interior Fellowship, and I know these scholarships also differ from college to college. Our college had, I think, a Bosch scholarship and the state scholarship that I got, and I think there were a couple more. I don't know what the key to them would be. I just know that they really look at someone that's going to work hard or that's going to um, I think they just want to see the passion in you for the things that they also care about. So if your interests align with what the scholarship is trying to promote, you'd have a good chance.
Okay. Um, Sid Sag asks, is there any recruitment process Tesla does from India for engineering graduates?
I'm not sure. I know my manager was in Germany when he got his internship here. So I can't say for sure because I haven't experienced it. I can't say for sure how Tesla hires people from abroad. I think maybe for internships it might, but I'm not sure about full time at all.
Okay. Sarthak asks, how is Musk as a boss? Is he as cool as we saw on H3H3's stream?
Um, I don't know. Like, I don't, being projecting yourself as a cool person, I think would be slightly different than being a cool boss just because we have to chase the timeline he sets. And those timelines are pretty cool, but it's very stressful for us to meet them. So sometimes he's a good boss. I wouldn't say that it's awful working for him or whatever, but like all employee boss relationships, some there is some friction, I guess, and there's always some backlash, but it's not harmful. It's very all in good fun. So he's cool, I guess.
Okay. Diksha asks, what are those particular areas where we need to work upon ourselves apart from the academics to get placed in such a reputed company like yours?
Um, I think it's not about exactly what you need to do. It's about what you think is going to help you become a better person. I would definitely say develop your own point of view. I know when we're in college, not all of us go and live outside the comfort of our own homes. But I've realized that getting out of India or like having different perspectives, getting out of my own house sort of challenged me in a way that I hadn't been challenged before, and that helped me develop a little bit of a personality, I would say, and like my own point of view that was different from that of my parents. So things like these things that people can see if you can think for yourself or not. And when they see that, oh yeah, this person has their own point of view based on their experiences that they've had in their lives so far, they really appreciate that, whether your point of view is different or similar to theirs.
Okay. Anushka asks, what was the most difficult part of your journey to Tesla?
Difficult. So difficult in the sense that it was challenging and very fun, but it wasn't like, oh, I can't do this or whatever. It was just more challenging than I had anticipated it would be. Was my master's degree. It was a lot of hard work, and we had to do like a lot of these things that we wouldn't do otherwise, because you start living alone. You don't have the benefit of like coming home to a home cooked warm meal. You come back home at like 12:30 in the night, and then you eat a grilled cheese sandwich and you go sleep. That's it. So things like coping up with things like these, coping up with challenges like what it's like to be uncomfortable when you're not in your safe zone, those were the things that I had a little bit of a time adjusting to. But other than that, it was all a lot of fun because I was just very interested in it.
Yeah. Bhavya asked, when did you start preparing to get into Clemson?
Oh, I ask me. Hi, Bhavya. When did I start preparing to get into Clemson? I think it was like you start hearing buzz about placements, and then you start hearing buzz about, oh, now we need to get to the next step of our lives. It all happened very organically. It wasn't like, um, oh, this is the timeline. When I go into third year, I'll start preparing for GRE. No, it wasn't like that. It was just everyone was getting placed, and I thought, oh, so now the next GRE cycle happens then. And I also know that I need to do a master's because I am not nearly as comfortable as I should be with the already existing knowledge that I have of cars, and, you know, just go and work for a car company. So I would say whenever we started getting placed, I don't exactly remember when that was, but when we started getting placed is when I decided I wanted to prepare for GRE.
Okay. Anshika asks, did you ever want to have a startup?
Actually, that's a very good question. I have started thinking about it recently, and I think that's the direction I want to head in eventually. But I also am not going back to my point about challenging yourself more or being comfortable in where you are right now. I think right now, for my personal reasons, I feel comfortable in where I am, but I also understand that at some point that's probably the way forward for me. It's probably going to be after four more jobs, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, it's in the back of my mind.
Okay. Gauri asks, how should one prepare for the modern day automobile industry?
Just, I guess, keep up with technology. Yeah, this is something that I wasn't very good at, to be honest. I wasn't keeping aware of what was happening around me in the automotive industry, and then I was sort of pushed into it when I joined Tesla. So um, I kind of wish that I had kept up on my own before this. So just keep up with emerging technology, keep up with everything that's happening in the automotive industry around you. That would help you develop your own ideas, and, you know, just say things like, oh, this is done this way, maybe I can make it better by doing it that way. So those are the kind of things that people look for in you, like your thinking and things, like your innovative thinking, basically.
Okay. Singing Humans asks, how do you feel working at Tesla?
Very stressed, very, very stressed. No, I'm kidding. Sometimes you feel stressed, yes, but other times you also feel very rewarded, because Tesla is a company that, like, Elon announces a product, say, in year A, and then year B, you have to release that product. So, usually, what other car companies would take 7 to 8 years to make, we get 7 to 8 months to do. So, you see your design turnaround happen very fast. Like, you're designing this one day, and the next day, you have prototypes for it. And then you sort of correct them on the fly. So, it's very rewarding because you actually get to see your um, part used in the car, but it's also very stressful to do that 7 hours of work in 1 hour.
Okay. Archana asked, what do you enjoy most and least about engineering?
The most I think I enjoy is just the freedom that you have to make things, to make them in a way that is impacting someone else's life. Uh, you're indirectly responsible for somebody else's safety, and you're really, you can feel very content by that. The least that I like about engineering is probably, I don't know, probably the gender ratio. I don't like that. I walk into a meeting, it's full of 40 middle aged men, and I'm there like a 25-year-old looking up to them and just being like, oh, listen to me. But I think that's what I don't like.
Sarthak asked, have you worked on the Cybertruck? What was your reaction when you all cracked up the window on stage?
My reaction was face palm. No, I think all of us were just, I don't know, hiding our faces at that moment. But more than that, we sort of were like, oh, now this has been revealed. Now we'll have to engineer this. So that the truck that was revealed was an alpha truck. So it was a prototype vehicle. It hasn't been engineered yet. So we'd have to start engineering work on it, and that's when we will start working on it.
Okay. Renu asks, how do you get the constant motivation to work? Like some days we feel like I just want to take a break. So how do you manage that?
That's what I feel. Some days you just feel like you want to take a break, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Definitely take breaks. Don't burn yourself out. This is something that I've learned while working at Tesla, and especially from my seniors, my manager, and my previous manager, that it's very important to take breaks. Don't try to be the knight in the shining armor for everyone. It's nobody needs that. You definitely don't need that for yourself. Just take a break, relax once in a while, go to a beach, have a vacation. Don't stress.
Yeah. Disha asks, do the companies use some different software than what we use in Supra or Baha teams?
What do you guys use in Supra or Baha? I don't know. We at my time we use SolidWorks. A lot of companies still use SolidWorks. Tesla uses CATIA. I remember I did learn some of CATIA when I was doing Supra, but I also remember mostly we just ended up using SolidWorks. So CATIA is used, SolidWorks is used in other companies, but not in Tesla. Um, and you also use, also Tesla is a very free company, right? Like you get to use and learn whatever you want to use. If you have a case for why you want to learn a particular software, and if that's going to make your work easier, they would always encourage you. So I sometimes use hypermesh, like OptiStruct solver for like very small CAE things, but that's pretty much it.
Okay. Deepshika asks, what are the basic designing or analysis softwares that we need to know?
Honestly, I don't think there is a. You sort of learn along the way. You'll learn some for Supra. Even if you're not doing Supra, you have CAD classes. So you learn some softwares there. Then, if you go for masters, or even if you go for a job, you learn whatever software the job is teaching you or your masters is teaching you. And believe me, nobody asks you in interviews if you know a particular software, but if you write something on your resume that I do know this software, then they would ask you, okay, so how comfortable are you with the software? So it's not like you need to have a particular set of skills. You just need to have the will to learn. That's what I would say.
Okay. Gunjan asked, why did you choose Clemson and not any other top university of Germany?
I didn't apply to Germany because, and in hindsight, I know I should have probably, but and it would have given me more of a unique experience probably. But I think at that point, I was just so comfortable in where I was, and just having that switch of a country without having this switch of a language, or without having that extra barrier of a language, was something that was all the courage that I could muster at that time, and that's what led to me not applying for Germany universities.
Okay. Catwoman asks, how necessary is a broad exposure for rapid advancement in engineering profession?
And no, this is, I don't know how to answer this one, but I think it's not about a broad exposure. I would say coming here and exposing yourself to a different environment in general helps you develop as a person, but you might get all that, like the world is connected now, so you don't necessarily have to come abroad to get that sort of an exposure. As long as you do sort of your homework and you get exposed to the things you want to get exposed to, or things that are building your interest at that point, that should be fine. It's an advancement is not about getting one particular kind of exposure. Advancement is about enjoying your job, being good at it, moving ahead with your ideas having an impact on other people, or like making other engineers or other customers' lives easy. So it's not about exposure to a certain kind of an environment, I would say.
Yeah. Shivam asks, what were the colleges in your list for doing masters and how did you choose them?
Like I said, Shivam, I looked at programs online. I basically tried to select any programs that had a heavy automotive engineering component, because that is what I was interested in at that point. I was very keen on finding only automotive engineering courses, but also like I found two or three maybe. So then I went to find mechanical engineering courses, but that had research components in them that were very automotive heavy. So I think just having that one course that I really wanted to focus on helped me narrow down all of these universities. And honestly, I don't remember what universities I had in my list, but I do remember I made, looking at some online tutorials at that point or something like that, I made a list where I had a section of safe universities, and then universities I can get into, and then some ambitious universities and things like that. So that was like a very typical, like, Google it and do it sort of a thing.
Okay. Bhavya again asks, what other universities do you recommend for masters?
I would say look at professors rather than looking at the brand name of a university. Look at what kind of a research are those universities funding, or what kind of the research is happening, like what the professors of that university are doing, and see if something that they are doing irks your interest. And then you can also reach out to those professors directly, like email them or set up some time with them to talk to them, and ask them like how their research is going, what kind of a person they are looking for to take on like some responsibilities in that research and things like that. I personally um, just looked at the kind of research one of my professors was doing in Clemson, and I remember, and even like other universities, and that's what got me interested in those universities, and that's how I applied.
Okay. Gargi asks, what are the best things you feel about being a mechanical engineer?
I just like, I know Archana asked a very similar question before, like the things that you like about being a mechanical engineer. I just think it's pretty satisfying to build something from your own hands, and just to see it being used the way you intended it to be used. And oh, I knew this bolt would fail, and that's why I added that chamfer there or something of that sort. And you see that happen in real life, and then you're like, yeah, this is satisfying. That's what I think.
Yeah. Sarthak asked, can we get some insights on SpaceX projects or Starlink?
No, mostly because I don't have many insights to give. I'm sorry. SpaceX and Starlink are pretty, like, that entire company of SpaceX is, yeah, it's a sister company for Tesla, I guess, because we share a boss. But other than sharing the materials engineering team, I don't think we share much. Also, one thing I guess you should know right now is that companies like SpaceX or NASA and things like that wouldn't hire immigrants on a visa, because those do like proprietary US government projects. So immigrants don't usually have access to those sort of companies. Even Boeing, I think, doesn't hire. So I guess aerospace and aviation industry in general doesn't hire immigrants.
Okay. Shreya asked, I feel so much better listening to her. From 3.
Exactly. If Bollywood teaches you something that is correct, take it. It's very rare, but Bollywood does teach you something sometimes. But yeah, I think that's fair. Just be interested in things, be curious, and you'll be fine. Don't worry about it too much. I need to worry about this, but yeah.
Yeah. Deepshika asks, should we do masters in continuation with BTech or work experience will benefit us?
I did masters in continuation of BTech. I don't know what it would have been like if I had if I had gotten a job in between. I don't imagine it would have been devastating or uh, would have been something that I must have done because I didn't do it and I'm here. But um, if you feel like you need to get some exposure to how things happen before you sort of step out into this completely different world of a new country and a new subject or like a specialized subject, if you think that that makes you feel a little more comfortable and adjusted with yourself, that's probably a good idea. Go ahead and get some work experience. But also it depends on how strongly you feel about learning more about whatever subject that you want to master in.
Okay. I guess we have one last question with us right now. Sorry
Mhm.
for that. So the last question is, Gauri asks, do you miss Indian food?
You know what? I have learned to cook so much living here. Like I know like last weekend I made honey chili potato. I had never imagined I would make honey chili potato because I miss it so much. And even though I live in California and this is a pretty like it's a very diverse area where I live, so you can easily find Indian food not nearby, but you can find it a little far away, and it's half decent, I would say. But sometimes you just miss some things. Like I don't get momos here,
Oh,
and decent momos especially. And I think this is a long weekend for us. I think I'm going to be cooking momos this weekend. Thanks for the idea.
sure. So, with a heavy heart, we conclude this event. Thank you so much, Bhavya, for giving us an insight. Like legit, like as mechanical engineers, we really don't have much idea where to go, and you just helped so much. I hope everybody learned something from this experience. Thank you for joining us, Bhavya, especially. To all the viewers, thank you for joining us. I hope you guys learned something from this event. To keep up with more of these informative events, follow us on all of our social media, Innerve IGDTUW at Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel and do like this video and all the other videos on this channel. And thank you so much for joining.
Thank you guys. Bye.